The screen is pitch black, filled only with the terrifying deep rumble of crushing underwater pressure. Acapulco gleams under the golden sun, a paradise unaware of the monstrosity rising from the deep. The ocean suddenly retreats miles from the shore, exposing the dark skeletal remains of the seabed. Thousands of helpless fish struggle violently on the wet sand as the water vanishes into the horizon. A wall of black water rises vertically, blocking out the sun and casting a long, deadly shadow. Tourists stand frozen in absolute terror, their cameras recording the final moments before the inevitable impact. A colorful plastic bucket drops from a trembling hand, landing softly on the sand as silence breaks. From above, the coastline looks fragile as the white foam of doom races toward the city beaches. The sky turns an apocalyptic gray as the towering wave curls over, ready to crush everything below. Concrete piers explode into dust instantly as the billion-ton hammer of the ocean strikes the land. Windows of high-rise luxury hotels shatter simultaneously, showering the streets with deadly shards of flying glass. Steel beams twist and snap like dry twigs as the first building collapses into the roaring flood. Vehicles are lifted effortlessly into the air, spinning wildly before smashing into the crumbling concrete walls. The streets transform into raging rivers of debris, sweeping away light poles and terrifying signs of civilization. An iconic bronze statue wobbles and falls, swallowed whole by the dark, churning waters of the Pacific. Crowds of desperate people sprint up the steep hills, lungs burning as the water nips at their heels. Entire city blocks disappear one by one under the brown sludge, erased from the map in seconds. Below the surface, furniture and cars swirl in a chaotic dance of destruction and dark, murky water. Power lines snap and transformers explode, sending bright blue sparks dancing across the surface of the flood. This is the nightmare scenario geologists feared. The day the ocean decided to reclaim the land forever. Mexico's Pacific coastline stretches for thousands of miles, a vibrant and seductive tropical paradise bathing in sunlight. Yet beneath this peaceful beauty lies a geological monster that has been sleeping soundly for centuries. The Guerrero Gap, where the Cocos Plate dives under North America, building up massive, unbearable pressure underground. Scientists have long warned of an inevitable seismic event in this region that could change everything. And today, time has run out as the Earth's crust finally reaches its breaking point and snaps. Deep underwater, two continental plates slip violently, releasing terrifying energy equivalent to thousands of atomic bombs. Shock waves travel through solid rock at supersonic speeds, tearing apart the quiet ocean floor in an instant. On land, the ground begins to shake violently as water glasses on tables tremble to signal danger. High-rise buildings in Acapulco sway like drunken dancers, while window glass begins to crack under stress. Residents rush into the streets in panic as sirens wail throughout the chaotic and terrified city. This is not a normal tremor, but an unprecedented magnitude 9.5 mega earthquake hitting hard. After 3 minutes of terror, the ground settles, leaving massive cracks tearing through the asphalt roads. People sigh in relief, believing the worst has passed, completely unaware of the truth rising offshore. But far offshore, the ocean is reacting to the Earth's crust punch in the most terrifying way. A massive body of water is pushed upward, creating destructive potential energy waiting to be unleashed. At the beach, a strange phenomenon begins to occur as the water level drops extremely rapidly. The seawater foams white like it is boiling, sucked away from the shore by an invisible force. Fishing boats anchored nearby are suddenly stranded, lying tilted on the wet sand, soaked in water. Beautiful coral reefs once hidden deep are now exposed naked under the harsh and burning sunlight. Instead of running high, curious tourists flood the beach to film this rare and strange natural phenomenon. A man walks his child on the seabed, picking up starfish that were just left behind. They laugh and live stream, completely ignoring the deadly signs appearing right in front of their eyes. Meanwhile, thousands of seagulls fly chaotically toward the land, screaming out in loud and desperate panic. Stray dogs on the shore bark loudly at the sea, fur standing up sensing the danger. The horizon begins to change shape, no longer a straight line but becoming unusually rough and uneven. A low sound begins to echo from afar, resembling the engines of thousands of heavy airplanes. Laughter on the beach dies down as everyone realizes that the sound is getting louder and closer. A white line appears on the horizon, stretching endlessly from left to right without any break. The water monster is rushing in at 800 kilometers per hour, faster than a jet plane. The clear blue sky suddenly darkens as the massive body of water blocks the bright sunlight. A woman screams hysterically, pointing at the wall of water growing bigger at a dizzying speed. The crowd turns to run, dropping phones and cameras, trampling each other in sheer panic and chaos. But the distance from the exposed seabed to the shore suddenly seems too far for bare feet. Tsunami waves do not curl like surfing waves. They are the entire ocean rising to swallow the sky. The massive shadow of the wave crashes down on the beach, and the air temperature drops suddenly. Its height has now exceeded 100 meters, taller than the luxury hotels lining the coast. A powerful gust of wind blows ashore before the water hits, knocking down weak coconut trees. Tsunami warning systems are now just meaningless noise in the face of nature's absolute and raw power. The wave surface is not blue, but pitch black, jagged with debris and shipwrecks swept along. Those who cannot run stand frozen in place, eyes wide open, watching death rushing towards them. From hotel balconies, wealthy guests see the wave is now level with their own terrified eyes. There is nowhere to hide. The entire coastal city lies within the destruction path of the water. The roaring sound becomes so deafening that eardrums feel like bursting before the impact even happens. One final second passes slowly, capturing the image of tiny civilization facing the raw fury of nature. The water's edge hits the embankment, spraying white foam high into the sky like deadly fireworks. Cars parked near the sea are the first victims, lifted up into the air like plastic toys. Rows of palm trees snap simultaneously with a chilling crack, sucked into the belly of the monster. Wooden beach bars shatter into 1,000 pieces, blending into the dark and deadly rushing water. Darkness covers everything as the wave crashes down, blocking out all light and hope of survival. And then, the impact happens, beginning the most devastating chain of destruction in modern human history. The first impact creates a massive water explosion, blasting concrete and debris high into the blue sky. The ground floors of 5-star hotels are instantly pierced by the unimaginable pressure of the rushing water. Unable to bear the weight, the 20-story tower shudders and collapses straight down onto its own base. Broken glass shards fly out like rain, turning into tens of thousands of sharp blades in midair. A rooftop swimming pool is tossed aside, its blue water mixing into the dark, muddy flood below. The pitch-black water floods the main avenues, turning streets into deadly, fast-flowing canyons of destruction and death. Double-decker buses are swept away as light as feathers, smashing violently into the buildings along the road. Traffic light systems are bent and swallowed whole, sinking beneath the foaming, chemical-filled layer of dirty water. A concrete overpass shakes violently as the rushing water hammers relentlessly against its main support pillars. Suspension cables snap one by one, whipping through the air like giant, angry steel whips of destruction. The entire bridge span snaps in half, falling into the vortex, dragging dozens of trapped cars down. The water is not just water. It is a thick sludge mixed with concrete, steel, and bodies. The power of this current can crush everything, turning the city into a gigantic, terrifying meat grinder. A massive cruise ship is lifted from the harbor by waves, drifting freely into the city center. The sharp bow of the ship slices through an office building, tearing concrete like slicing a cake. Cars are swept under the ship's hull, crushed into shapeless, twisted lumps of metal instantly. Substations explode in succession, creating brilliant orange fireballs that dance on the dark background of water. High-voltage electricity discharges onto the water, turning the flood into a giant electric chair, killing everything. At the busy market, stalls are swept away, goods floating to form a massive, colorful garbage patch. A monument of a historical figure is decapitated by waves, its head rolling on the flooded street. Water floods into the subway system, turning tunnels into deadly high-pressure water pipes instantly. A moving train is caught by the rushing water, smashing into tunnel walls amidst blinding electric sparks. Above ground, underground parking lots spew water back up like fountains from the depths of hell. Shipping containers drift from the port, acting like sledgehammers, destroying residential houses with brutal force. The city stadium turns into a giant reservoir, with grandstand seats submerged deep in thick brown mud. 100-year-old trees are uprooted, drifting with the current, their branches whipping against shatterproof windows. A gas station explodes, fire spreading on water due to leaking fuel, creating a surreal burning water scene. LED billboards flicker one last time before sinking completely into the eternal darkness of the flood. From above, the city looks like a toy model smashed to pieces by an angry giant child. Not a single road remains intact. The traffic map of Acapulco has been completely wiped out. Human cries for help are drowned out by the roar of water and the crash of concrete. A rescue helicopter tries to approach, but must turn back due to dangerous and powerful whirlwind gusts. Sharks from the ocean follow the current, swimming right into the main lobby of the shopping mall. The water level continues to rise, swallowing the second, then the third floor of low-rise residential buildings. Plastic waste accumulated for decades is returned to the land in a single, massive, unforgiving wave. A coastal hospital floods, expensive medical equipment floating aimlessly in the dark and abandoned corridors. Bank safes are swept away by the current, paper money bursting out and scattering across the dirty water. Destruction spares absolutely nothing, leveling everything from poor slums to the most luxurious resorts equally. The second tsunami wave arrives, delivering a fatal blow to the already dying and crumbling structures. Water, mist, and smoke from fires blend together, creating a suffocating, dark, and toxic atmosphere. Lucky dogs and cats climb onto cabinet tops, trembling as they watch the rushing water below. Solar panels peel off roofs, flying like leaves in the wind before sinking to the bottom. A construction crane collapses, smashing a residential apartment building just like crushing a fragile egg. Water begins to spiral at intersections, forming deadly sinkholes that suck everything down into the sewers. Nature is demonstrating absolute power, turning human achievements back to zero in a matter of minutes. Skyscrapers now stand isolated like concrete islands amidst the vast, endless sea of brown water. Chaos reaches its peak as telecommunication towers collapse, cutting off all contact with the outside world. Acapulco, the jewel of the Pacific, has been officially crushed beneath the heel of the ocean. No more car horns, no more music festivals, only the endless growl of the water monster remains. This is the darkest hour, when humans realize they are completely helpless before Mother Nature. The tsunami does not stop at the coast. It pushes miles inland, turning peaceful suburbs into swamps. High hill areas once thought safe are now completely isolated, resembling desert islands in a dirty sea. Acapulco International Airport is submerged, the runway turning into a graveyard for floating and broken airplanes. A Boeing 747 drifts freely, crashing into the passenger terminal with a deafening and screeching metal explosion. The transport system is paralyzed, turning escape routes into deadly mousetraps for thousands of fleeing vehicles. Thousands of cars stuck on the highway are now floating and crashing into each other like toys. Survivors climb onto car roofs, waving desperately at rescue helicopters that are too far away to help. An ambulance is flipped over, its siren lights still spinning hopelessly beneath the murky and dirty water. Panic crowds at evacuation centers begin to lose control as food supplies run out rapidly and completely. A deadly stampede occurs as people fight viciously for the very last bottles of clean drinking water. Coastal chemical plants suffer tank ruptures, leaking toxic bright green substances into the rushing floodwaters. Floodwaters change color rapidly, emitting thick fumes that make anyone breathing them cough and choke violently. Spilled oil from gas stations meets electrical sparks, creating a double disaster. A burning hell on water. Pillars of pitch black smoke rise high, blocking out the fading sunlight and darkening the entire city. Firefighters stand by helplessly, as water cannot be used to extinguish these raging oil and chemical fires. The fresh water system is contaminated by salt and pollution, plunging the city into a survival crisis. Hospitals are overwhelmed, with patients lying in flooded corridors without electricity for life-saving treatment. Doctors are forced to operate under smartphone flashlights, while the water continues to rise every minute. Night falls, plunging the city into darkness, lit only by the patchy glow of spreading fires. The sound of weeping echoes through the night, creating a tragic symphony of loss and despair. Looters begin to run wild, smashing remaining stores to search desperately for any food or supplies. Law and order have completely vanished, replaced instantly by the brutal jungle law of survival. A man hugs his dog tightly on a floating mattress, his eyes empty and devoid of hope. Separated families scream the names of their loved ones hopelessly across the vast ocean of floodwater. Carcasses of livestock float aimlessly, signaling the serious risk of a disease outbreak coming very soon. Mud fills the houses, burying memories and possessions under a thick, heavy layer of clay. A grand piano is swept into the street, lying broken on the rubble with crushed keys. Apartment buildings begin to tilt as their foundations are soaked and eroded by water for too long. Residents on high floors feel the swaying, and the fear of total collapse strikes them again. No clean water, no electricity, no phone signal. Humans have returned to the Stone Age instantly. Crocodiles escape from the nature reserve, swimming freely through the flooded residential neighborhoods hunting for food. Rescue teams use rubber boats, moving cautiously to avoid sharp glass and dangerous underwater power lines. They shine flashlights into houses, searching for weak waving hands from the dark window frames. A baby is pulled from a roof, soaked and shivering, a powerful image of fragile life. But not everyone is so lucky. Many houses have sunk completely with no one escaping inside. Dawn breaks, revealing the true scale of the disaster under the cruel and revealing sunlight. The beautiful city of Acapulco is now just a pile of mud and gray-brown rubble. Cruise ships sit stranded in the middle of streets like giant, helpless beached whales. The beach that was once full of laughter is now eerily silent, completely wiped off the map. Survivors begin wading through mud to return home, only to find that everything has vanished. A woman kneels before the rubble, clutching a dirty family photo tightly in her trembling hands. Ancient churches have lost their roofs, but the statue of Christ still stands amidst the ruins. The government declares a national emergency, and the army is fully mobilized for relief efforts. The first relief packages are parachuted down from massive military transport planes overhead. But the road to reconstruction will take decades, and this scar will never fully heal. Nature has taken everything away, but it cannot take away the human will to survive. Campfires are lit, and people share food and warmth with each other in the ruins. Mexico has fallen, but Mexico will rise from the ashes, stronger than ever before. The lesson from this disaster will be remembered forever. Never joke with the ocean. And if we do not change, this could be just the beginning of even greater disasters.